Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored.
Drew had filed the paperwork for custody at my behest. I'm the one that said, file. I don't believe in the system like that, right? Go file. If you feel like I might find the love of my life and run the fuck away, go file. I would never do that to my son. I made that vow sitting on the couch in therapy. And I fucking meant it. I said, my mom did that with me and my dad. I will not do that to my child. Unless your relationship to him becomes emotionally or physically harmful, right? Boom, bam, that was it. I'm breastfeeding one day, and the sheriff knocks on my parents' doorstep while Drew was asleep upstairs in my bed and says, are you Moniece Slaughter? I said, yes. She says, you've been served. Okay. I went back upstairs, I burped the baby, put the baby down. At this time, Drew was chasing Jay Boog around community college, so he had class. I wait for him to go to class, and I read the papers. There's where I see that allegedly my mother said I'm bipolar. Mm-hmm. Boom, right? Now, I go to court. I'm showing up in court. He's not. I got the baby on my hip. My dad is driving me to and from. The judge sees me every court date. This is family law court. I don't respond with a lawyer because I knew he was selling weed. He was doing all this. It wasn't legal back then. I said to my mom, if I do this legally and we have the means, he will lose his rights. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. I want to try to go through mediation. My mom and my dad said, you have our support. Well, he comes over. Drew's father had decided to now enter his life. And we'd had a little agreement because now I was done breastfeeding. So you can take the baby. So he had like 1 or 2 days or whatever. Well, there was like a discrepancy. And I said, he wanted to come pick the baby up early, like a couple days early so that he could spend time with his father because he hadn't met the baby. Mm-hmm. And I said graciously, okay, I would love for him to have that, even though he's an infant, he probably won't remember unless he's consistent. Boom, bam. He comes to pick up the baby. He says, well, you didn't, we're getting into the discrepancy about when he's going to return him. Well, you didn't file in court, so that means you lost by default. If I want, I'll take him and never bring him back. So now you're sitting in my house threatening to take my infant child that you first tried to deny, by the way, and you don't want to give him back. This is crazy. So whatever I have to do to stop you from leaving here today, short of knocking your head off with that aluminum baseball bat, is what the fuck I'll do. But no one listened. I grabbed the car seat. I went to smash the windows out of his car. He tackles me to the ground and calls the police on me. I'm bloodied, I'm bruised. Well, there's a new law at this point that I was unaware of called the nature of the call. It's like tag. Whoever calls first is safe. Well, they look at me and say, well, he's not, his property nor his persons are injured or damaged. Do you want him to go to jail? I said, yes. So my dad is upstairs with me and he's like, you have got to listen to me. You're getting revved up. You're getting amped up. Be quiet and let me do the talking. Don't say anything. Just be quiet because your temper and I can feel it and I can see it. And I'm like, all right. The supervisor shows up and he says, do you need medical attention for your injuries? I said, no, I need you to make a fucking decision as to who's going to jail. And I need you to tell me why I'm in cuffs and I'm bloody and he's not. He said, take her. Well, the DA then sees my pictures of the stuff. The very next day, rolled up, case dismissed, never tried again. He motioned for a restraining order. He did not show up for the restraining order. The judge said to him, Mr. Frederick, I haven't seen you one time. Your attorney's telling me that this is the last time he's showing up in court for you. Request denied.
So if you went through all that to fight for your kid and to do all that, and you've come a long way, why are you not concerned that now April's in there in your kid's head manifesting this perception of you and keeping you out of their home?
I bought him a cell phone. It's in my name. I pay the bill. I can reach him. It's sticky. Like even sitting here today, I feel like I've digressed and I became the old me for a second, which I didn't want to do. I was like talking myself up like, you're not going to do that. You're going to take the higher road. But I'm tired of protecting him. It's like, I also have some questions. Like when you crashed your Benz into that apartment building a couple months ago because you fell asleep at the wheel, were you leaving her house or going to her house? Like, were you running to her house when you were on the phone with me while you were on the run from the popos? I'm lost. Like I have a lot of, because you guys were best friends and where was she? You've been volunteering a lie to someone who didn't ask. I didn't ask if you were sleeping together. I didn't ask if you were together. I never even alleged it. And she admitted that was the case. That I'd never said they were sleeping together. I never said they were dating, not privately, not publicly. I didn't ask her. I didn't ask him. And so you've been volunteering this lie, but what bothered me and why I went live was you volunteered the lie, okay? And I'm not the public. I'm this boy's mother. And I'm this man's baby mama. And you volunteered to lie. And cool, so you volunteered to lie. But now that you've come out and you've gone public with the relationship, from what I know, some people in the group that were standing around said that they've talked about marriage and kids in the future.
Oh yeah, and I've heard just now since this all happened, I actually talked to Masika. I called Masika to say this is some crazy shit because she had commented on Hollywood Unlocked's page like, wow, because I think it was, but
shocking.
When I called her, she said, what? No, wow, they've been doing this for 2 years.
Yeah, and we all knew, but we just never cared to question it. So now that you've gone public with it, and I walk up, mum's the word. You, April, said you wanted to do a song with me. I said, let's go on the road, but that's your own material, right? Let's turn the beef into a bag. Let's not get mad. Let's get money. We never had a hiccup before this. We've established that, the issues with
So
Drew.
was the rant on Instagram more just
the
you
rant on
releasing?
Instagram was, don't disrespect me. Now that you have gone public with the relationship, is not grounds for disrespect. Period.
But you don't think
can't
that-
be
you don't think-
kiki
you don't
and
think that-
caca
you don't think
while
they've been-
you're fronting about being best friends. And now that we're together, bitch, fuck you.
You don't think
it
but-
doesn't work
but
like
you
that,
don't, But
boo-boo.
you don't think there's been disrespect to you all along the way?
I don't.
Because I'm waiting.
You
Listen,
don't owe,
I ain't
nobody
gonna say,
owes me an see, and this is again maturity. Nobody owes me an explanation. Me and that man are not friends.
No, but there's a kid in the middle.
That's
and
what-
and there's a,
as a co-parent.
You have a kid.
That's what I'm saying. As a co-parent, I'm trying to understand what is the angle and what is the reason for them to try to, or them or him or whoever is just trying to put your child against you. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Let's be clear. I never said that that's what they were doing.
Even-
Feeling
wait,
like he can't tell the truth.
Even if he's not being told
Right.
to lie.
That is the feeling that he's been
If
given.
he feels that he needs to lie to you,
Yes.
as a mother, do
Yes.
you not feel like that's where like the mother has to come out? It ain't about being crazy or being mean.
And I've done that.
Okay.
I've had private conversations, with Drew on my own, with my parents in the group.
But why is she coming to your house at 10:30 at night with a book?
So we had been Drew and I had been arguing all.
She don't got no reason to come
Let
to
her
your house.
answer the question.
Drew
No,
and-
I'm upset.
Yeah. So Drew and I have been arguing all day in a group thread with my parents about Cameron's schooling. He's been having a hard time. He's in summer school. I needed the book that he's supposed to be reading. I had done his homework with him, and the teacher sent back a note that during the first week of summer school, which was Drew's week, he had 2 assignments that had not been turned in. Way to go, Dad. Round of applause.
Been there.
And so we were going back and forth, and I lost it. So I said, just bring me the fucking book so I can do the homework with the boy. Bang, 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 bang. 10:30 at night, I'm in the kitchen wrapping my finger with a Band-Aid. I don't even have the Band-Aid fully on the shits yet. And I'm like, who the fuck is it? I was on edge. I cut my finger. My kid's running around. He's jumping over my furniture. I know he's tired. We're waiting on this goddamn book. And she's like, it's me. It's April. I have Cam's book. So I opened the door. I'm like, I literally said no words. I just took the book, but Cameron heard her. And he's like, April. So he runs to the door, gives her a hug. He's like, I need to put on some sweatpants. Is my dad in the car?
Wait, he runs to the door and gives her a hug.
A hug. And she's in a white tank top, no bra, and some boxers or something and flip-flops. And so Cam asked if his dad was in the car, and she was like, yeah. And he was like, Cam says, I just got out of the shower. Let me put my, he had his wife beater and his little boxers on. So he's like, let me put some pants on. I'm going to go see my dad. And I just walked back into the kitchen and finished doing. I can see my front courtyard and a part of the street from my kitchen if I'm at this angle. So I see the headlights, but I can't see, the actual car unless I go out my front door around the thing. So I'm just I know he's safe. He's in the front yard. And so she never walked him back to the car, to the house or anything like that. He came in and I heard the door close and I said, are you by yourself? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, Daddy was in the car? And he was, yeah. I spoke to him. Are you mad? I was like, no, I'm not mad that you went to speak to your dad. Are you mad because April brought me the book? No, we need the book to do your school. It doesn't matter. As long as you're taken care of, Cameron, mommy's fine.
So you're okay with her?
No, don't show back up though.
Huh?
Don't show back up.
Why
Don't come
not?
back.
What if you forget another book?
I didn't forget the motherfucking book. My baby daddy forgot the book.
Okay, well let me ask this.
So you bring me the book.
So you're okay with her acting as your child's stepmother?
I'm not fearful for Cameron's safety when he is in her presence. No.
Okay.
Do I like the way, and as a co-parent, it's a really tough pill to swallow when you do things one way.
Yeah.
You cannot control. You don't dictate how things are done on the other side. So you're kind of in this position where it's like, as long as he or she comes back like this, what else could I really say or do?
We had a conversation on the show. Remember, we were going back and forth. I'm not sure if you were here yet, but we had a conversation on the show about when is it the right time to when is it the right time for a kid to meet your new partner when you're co-parenting? That was a big debate because
I definitely wasn't here for that.
Well,
we had that conversation.
Yeah.
And so
I feel like it's when you know it's going to be for when your intention is forever, because no one knows the future.
The mistake. Remember,
but when you feel like my intention is not fly by night, and my girlfriend, the only person to ever be integrated into my son's life.
But shouldn't the parents have a conversation? Like, shouldn't you and him?
I did that. I gave him that.
A co-parent, yeah.
Yes, I gave him
that. You did that with AD.
I did that with AD.
And so do you not have animosity towards her and him for them not giving you that respect with Cameron?
Here's how I feel. I can't take advice from a bitch who's worse off with her baby daddy than I am. I can't take advice from a bitch who is the pot calling the kettle. I can't take advice from you, bitch. I can't. Now, if you want to advise me on how you and your mom got to this great place after you were hooting and hollering about your upbringing, please, by all means, share. How did you reach that place? Because that's probably the only thing I need advice on. My mom and I are good, right? But I want it to be great. I want my mom to be my best friend. And that's how April describes, her mom. Me and my mom are like this, but we have a lot to work through, right? That's all I can take advice from her about. And maybe not even that, because bitch, you might be lying to me. So, you might actually be secretly sabotaging me. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't feel any type of way. Like, it's cool, it's whatever, but just stop don't be disrespectful and stop trespassing.
It's because she could get tased.
It would be illegal. I'm legal.
Okay, so we had Tank here on the show. Tank still to this day, we've interviewed everybody.
Okay.
Tank still is one of the fan favorite interviews.
Good for him.
And you hated that interview.
Good for him.
And you reacted to that interview
Good
online.
for him.
You saw the interview. What did you think about the interview?
I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was a low blow. You have daughters. And you know my father. And don't lie. Immaculate conception. Don't lie. Don't lie about fucking. Just all of it was a lie. Don't lie about.
What about
niggas knocking on the
grass?
door trying to get. That never happened.
The burning fuck you in the grass.
Okay, that wasn't. So let's in light of actually no longer protecting people, we want to tell the truth. I was the getaway driver. Let's tell the whole truth. I actually told my dad that I had a crush on him. Because me and my dad,
how old
I was
were you
19.
At the time? Okay, you were 19. Okay.
18 going on 19. And my dad was like, don't do it. He's way older than you. You're not ready. Right? And one of the other underdogs, who's like a big brother to me, was like, stay away. And that's a real big brother. I'm talking about these people have known me since I was in utero. No lie. So they've watched me grow up.
You didn't follow the advice.
I did not follow the advice.
Clearly.
And I just felt like, when I watched the interview, how dare you, one, be dishonest? Because I ran into one of those gentlemen that he was referring to. He didn't name names, but I know exactly who was with us that night. Mm-hmm. We dropped one off. The other one was his roommate and had a girl with him.
Are you talking about the night you all met?
Yeah.
And he said you all wanted to have a threesome.
That's not true. Mm-hmm. And I just was like repulsed. Like almost 11 years later, because when we started messing around, I was 19. And so this is one thing that always stuck with me about that interview. He said, I don't fuck, I make love, or something like that. And so if I sleep with a woman, I make her feel like we've been in a relationship. So how do you think I felt at 19?
Mm-hmm. That's understandable.
He was the second person I'd ever slept with? So how do you think I feel? And I come from a home where mother and father in one home, right? And so I'm thinking that he shares similar views because this is what's being fed to me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like...
So you threw the Slurpee in his face.
It wasn't a Slurpee, and that's what's, again, a lie.
What was it?
It was a cup of water.
Okay.
He was actually at the bottom of the driveway talking to Jennifer Freeman. Tank was.
Oh, just saw her.
And I was talking to...
She was at the brunch.
No, I know, but the story is different. He's talking to a guy in the story at the bottom of the hill, and then here comes the slow crawl of the car window
well,
open.
Well, that did happen.
Okay.
So he was talking to Jennifer Freeman at the bottom of the hill. I was talking to a duo that Tyrese had signed at the time, Watts and Six. And they were like, are you okay? Like, are you good? And I was like, I'm fine, you know? Well, Tank departs the conversation from Jennifer and enters our conversation, in which he spoke to all three of us, and I didn't speak back. And he proceeded to humiliate me. Oh, so bitches don't know how to speak, but they seem to know my name real well in the bedroom. Like, is that necessary? So I'm crying tears at this point because it's like, why?
This was said in front of the people.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had one of my friends that's a dancer with me, he was an actual dancer. His dance name was Hurricane. And so I said, he was like, I'll drive us, you know, and we were in my truck. And so I'm like, yeah, please. So I'm in the passenger seat and I have a cup of water in the cup holder. And so as we are coming down the hill, Micah was in front of me. Micah had like a red Eclipse at the time. Micah's in front of me. Everyone's trying to get out of this hill to leave the community that Brandy lives in. Well, we stopped behind Micah, and we so happened to stop literally right next to Tank. So he's leaning up against his yellow Lamborghini, and Tony Dixon, that's who he was at the bottom of the hill talking to, looks at me like, oh, are you okay? So I look at him, at Tank, and he's standing there like this. But he's giving me the smirk like he just knows he hurt my feelings and got under my skin. And he got the last word. So I quietly, I don't yell, I don't scream. I crack my window enough to get the cup out, and I'm like, you fucking piece of shit, I hope you burn in hell. Boom. Well, at that point, traffic opens up, so I tell Hurricane, hurry up and go. So we get out the gate, we bend that right, and we see like these fluorescent lights behind us. Boom. They whiz by. I'm like, what a fucking show off, what an asshole.
And it's the Lamborghini.
It's the Lamborghini. Well, these same fluorescent lights are now headed back my way, head on. This is real life. And we swerved, and he clipped us. My car spun out and hit a wall. And so his car was totaled.
The Lamborghini?
The Lamborghini was totaled.
He said that?
His car was totaled.
Yeah, the whole undercarriage because he hit the curb, and it's a
after
very
he
low
hit my
profile
car.
It's a mess.
Yeah, after he hit my car, both our cars went up on the curb.
Yeah.
I was in a truck though. So he came around at the passenger side, and I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? Because you're crazy, but I had to show you that I'm crazier. And I'm yelling, I'm in tears.
What did he
so
say?
I'm yelling. I'm yelling at Hurricane, drive. He's like, I can't. I'm like, drive. He's like, I can't. Tank's like, bitch, drive. I can't.
And does
it's
Ray
like
J
this
come?
revolving.
Where
So
does Ray J come from?
I was long gone at that point.
Okay.
Ray
You
J
got out and
came
ran?
out. No, we ended up backing up because he ended up moving out
okay.
of the way. Like
And then
his physical body ended up, he moved his person.
So your truck was able to drive away?
To drive away. So, but we're like, down the hill.
But prior to this, did you really throw the dog
the
food
cans of
in
dog
his house?
food?
No.
Did you ever
So
paint
there was
his
no-
car?
This was after that. This was long after that. Long
so
after.
the dog food came after.
I didn't do that actually. And so
The Easter eggs. The
Easter eggs?
okay, so
somebody
apparently
eggs
the
out.
Easter eggs on the white
okay,
car.
I didn't do
Burning
I
fuck you in the
I
and
didn't
grass.
do any of that. So here's how that all came to be. It was after
Wow,
this.
that was a colorful story. then.
It was after this.
I will say this: if you did do it,
I wish I had
I'm telling you
now.
right now, you need a fucking crown because in
no,
terms
I
of
wish
pettiness,
I had.
like
No, I wish I had.
I live for that.
So my friends are like, fuck him. You know, that is so fucked up of him. Like, he should have never done that to you. And like, how crazy, because he knows your mom and he knows your dad. And like, you know what? We're going to egg his house. We're going to this and we're going to that. So I know the names, right? So I'm like, okay. So I'm the driver. I'm like, I'll wait. You know, I'll drive. So I'm waiting. There's like a little gate, right, that leads to the street. I'm parked at the gate outside the fucking community. I'm the getaway driver.
Lonnie sees you though, right?
Lonnie
Lonnie
Yeah.
sees us. And so I'm like,
so all of that happens after the crash.
And so my friend's mom is like the do-it-yourself queen. Her mom is from South Africa, so like she'll sand her own shit, and she's out there like, this is a fucking situation, you know. So my friend is like well versed. So she's like, we should light the grass on fire. I'm like, bitch, grass is wet. How do you light grass on fire? So I'm like, oh my God. So she actually ended up torching the wrong house the first time.
Fuck.
Because the grass wouldn't light on fire.
Oh God.
So she's like,
it's like Christmas.
So at this point,
again.
we live in Woodland Hills. She's still in West Hills. She's like a couple blocks from him, right? So she's like, bitch, guess what? I drove by today to see like if anyone had realized that the grass was burned. And like, I don't think anyone lives there. And so boom, insert the babysitter's son, who my friend was closer with than I was. But he's like, I know where the house is. So he was taking us, we jacked the mail to make sure that I was the one who, I did say, look, these are crimes, you guys. You can't be doing it wrong. You got to take the mail and make sure that's his house.
Yeah.
They were like, well, bitch, we don't know. I said, his name is Darrell Babs. Look at the mail and see. Like, is that the house? They're like, bitch, it's the house. What's next? I'm like, nothing. Like, let's go. It's raining. Like, boom. So now the do-it-yourself queen's daughter, not my friend, she's my friend, my real friend. She's like family, so I'm not going to throw her message. She's the one who sprayed because she said if you do WD or DW40 or whatever, it kills the grass. Because I was like, what is that for? Her little sister and her sister's boyfriend were like, fuck putting sugar in the tank. We're going to put eggs and whipped cream in the exhaust. And we're going to... So they went to Home Depot and got actual paint. And I said, just throw it. They were like, no, that makes a noise. We have to literally get up there, smash the egg in our hand with the paint, rub it around, and then you do it like you're putting on lotion.
Oh my God, I need friends like this.
While they were doing that, my friend, the older sister, was torching the grass. So she runs to the car.
Happening at one time.
One time, they're painting.
Was so off, right?
They're painting the car. Yeah. She's burning the grass. I'm outside, but we had walkie-talkies.
Oh my God.
So my friend is like,
wait, you guys don't have walkie-talkies?
We had walkie-talkies.
Who the hell bought the walkie-talkies?
I did. So I'm like, because I told him, I was like, if you guys get busted, I'm driving off.
Oh my
God.
God.
So my friend, the older sister, she walkies to me and she's like, we're done. Over, I'm coming back. I'm like, hurry up, bitch. Hurry up. So she gets in the car. We drive around to the back of the house. She's like, give me the cans of dog food. I'm like, what was the dog food for? So she's like, but she had the ones that had the peel on them. Like, you didn't have to do the can opener. And she's chucking, and I'm like, oh my God. So
on Tank's story, did he break down that these were all different events?
Yes.
Okay, so this is all happening at one time.
No, they were different events. So the brick was first. Now I did write the note. I didn't throw the brick.
What'd the note say?
I don't remember, but it was
fuck me again or die. That's what it was supposedly said. Fuck me again or die. I'm positive that was what what it said. Yes.
Did he bring the note?
He did not bring the note.
Okay. Knock it the fuck off. Okay. Anyway, I don't remember, but I'm sure I'm very articulate and I can I'm very good with words.
Yeah.
So
you are.
I'm sure that it was an amazing letter, and I even did the dumbest thing ever and signed my name.
April, I hope you're taking notes because if you show up again, all this shit is coming to your house. You in the neighborhood.
So the brick was the first thing. Lonnie was home, but Lonnie didn't actually see me because I didn't actually throw the brick.
Right.
And I was a different friend at the time who was with me, and she was like, she's the one who was like, oh, we got to take our shoes off because they can blacklight shoe prints now. And she was like, we got to tie our hair up.
She watches forensic
files.
she
was like, we got to tie our hair up, and she was like, we got to go barefoot. And I was like, why barefoot? Why can't we just wear socks? She was like, bitch, they match lint now. I was like, okay. So she was like, epithelial cells slough millions per minute, but they rejuvenate like 500,000 per second. I was like, okay, all right. So we tied our hair up and we went barefoot. That was the brick. And she peed on herself because she was so nervous. Oh my God. Cut to now is the DW40, whatever it is, and the little sister. So we're in the back. She's throwing the cans of dog food, and I'm in the, I'm driving the car. So the little sister walkies and she's like, shh, we're done. Meet us at the street. Over. I'm like, bust the U-turn, go back around the corner. I pick him up. I'm like, guys, we can't keep doing this. Like, we cannot. Like, my license plate is on here. Like, we just can't. And the car's in my name. Like, so
I always wanted to know, when y'all do this, does it feel good?
What?
I was anxious. And so, you know what? To the point, like, when I look at it now, I feel like at the time,
you were young.
I was 20. By the time this had happened,
this is a
I was
long
20.
time ago.
Yeah, she was young.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Listen, I think when you hear Tank tell the story, you're thinking Moniece today.
Yeah.
20 years old. I'm telling you, I'm surprised. I tell a story in my 30s where my nigga left me while I was at work, and I went and got lighter fluid and poured it all over the house. Broad daylight, was about to burn that bitch up. Shit happens.
Yeah.
You can't play with people.
What you mean shit? Hey, don't try to say shit.
Shit happen when you play with people.
When Instagram,
That's not normal.
When Instagram,
I wouldn't do it today.
when Instagram came out with the direct message feature, this was long before TV. I direct messaged him and I apologized.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. I said, now that I'm a parent, I can't imagine the amount of self-control and restraint that must have taken. And I don't even know what I would do. You know,
self-restraint and try to run you down on Lamborghini.
Well, I heard that his kids were in the house one of these nights.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And so I was like, you know, I wholeheartedly, like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know. I should have, and I did say I didn't actually do it, but I absolutely should have intervened. I should have never let it get that far.
That's big of you.
And he read it. That was back when you just had the green check mark, you know? So I know he saw it. And so to do that interview all those years later, what was the purpose? What was the reason? You have daughters. Like, if this is still your get back, okay, I'll let you have it, which is why I was quiet.
Well, let me take some responsibility, because at the time you and I were
I figured,
you know what I'm saying? You and I,
even as a man,
no, he didn't even
stand
know.
your ground.
Well, but let me say this: he didn't even know he was going to be asked that question. We were in Vegas. And he was just like, wow, like, you and Moniece, like, this is just crazy, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay, you know Moniece? Because I didn't know him and Zena were going to do Love and Hip Hop. So when he's like, yeah, and he starts to tell me the history, he's telling me the stories. And I'm literally, because I never really hated you. I just, like, trolled you because
well, everyone on season 1 that was part of the original cast knew about that scenario.
I didn't.
No. The original season 1.
Oh, the cast knew.
They knew.
Oh, okay.
And so when I came in, they were like, yeah, how do you know Tank? Have you met Zena?
Oh, so they already knew.
So they already knew.
Okay, see, I had no clue. I mean, I know Zena and you know Tank and Zena.
So I suppose that
but listen, when he came on the show, so when we were in Vegas, it was at Floyd Mayweather's daughter's birthday party. He just mentions, as he's telling the stories of how you like the dog food, the burning in the grass, the Lamborghini. It was great for TV. Like, the shit you did, if you know, let me just say this. I that's when I knew we were kindred spirits. Because I'm I would rise to that level of petty because some people deserve it. You know, but anyway, so when he came on the show, it was literally like our 4th or 5th show. Yeah. And I say to him, you told me this story about Moniece, tell me. And he told it all elaborate. Yeah, it was probably long-winded and probably unnecessary, but
it was 47 minutes and a few seconds to be exact. And I was flabbergasted because how? You have this song out, and let me be very clear. I'm a Tank fan musically. I have been able to separate the individual, the man from the music, 100%. When the Norwoods and I were at odds, Brandy is still the vocal Bible. You know what I mean? And it's sad. Like, and I feel like I was young. I was dumb. I should not have let it go that far. And so even now, I will apologize. And
well, I apologize for helping him resurrect it all.
It's fine. You know, I just feel like as a man, you have to have your own wits about you. And what if someone, it's, you know, and I think the part that really disgusts me about it is that imagine that I'm your daughter and I'm vulnerable. And I'm vulnerable, not like, oh, woe is her, she's so fragile. No, but she's grown up and she's sheltered, as some would say, or she's not aware that this is really how the world works and this is how men are. Technically, she has been taken advantage of by someone who knew what they were doing, someone way more experienced than her, someone not just sexually, but life experience, emotionally, mentally.
But 19 years old, I was fucking and I knew what I was doing.
I was having sex, yes, but I wasn't like, just all over the place with it. You understand? I wanted to be in a relationship because that's all I saw.
She's 19 years old. She comes across Tank. You know what I'm saying?
But do you think you're going to be in a relationship
with
him?
I did.
What was the build up to that? Why did you feel like that was going to end up in a relationship?
He was very charming.
He's charismatic as
very,
fuck. And
very charismatic.
Very good looking.
He was very he drove me home. Oh, and about the thing with the clothes, I didn't drive. You know, my friends took my car from the party. And so he put me in his t-shirt and boxers and took me to and I said I was going to put my dress back on. And he was like, I'm going to keep that for collateral. I don't like collateral. He's like, to make sure you come back.
Yeah, that didn't
so
make it
I'm
into
like,
his story,
so
his
when
version.
so when he's like,
honey, he said
when
you
I
was
came
outside
back,
the window talking about you was pregnant.
I came back to get my dress because I had been there on multiple occasions. Satsuma and Magnolia, baby, are the cross streets. I had been there multiple times.
One time.
I had multiple dresses. I had multiple things at that house. So it's like, give it back.
Right.
And you're playing games. Breon was home.
Why does Breon?
Breon threw the dress, just one, over the fence.
Wait, Breon was there?
They were roommates. And the night that I met Tank and we went back, Breon had a bitch with him. So where were these niggas? Where were they coming? He was coming up through the toilet. He came through the vent. I'm confused. Nobody was asking oh, when is it gonna be my turn? He had a whole bitch. And the other nigga we dropped off. So where were these niggas? Where did they come from?
Hey, I don't know.
Help me understand, Mr. Babs.
Breon and Tank were roommates? Did you know that?
They lived together.
Did you know that?
No.
So it wasn't just one incident.
Okay, so
And my friend Ashley Mathis had been with me to his house. It wasn't just one incident.
Melissa, you're having a lot of reactions over there. What's going on?
I am. Okay, so let me just say this, Moniece, because a lot of your fans, you know, I really didn't have much to say in the interview because I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'd never heard the story. I didn't really know who you were. I've known Tank for, 15 years at this point. He and I are very close. I'm very close to Zena. So he has a very specific way of telling a story. Remove yourself from...
He does.
Remove yourself from being the content of that story. The way he told it was very, very funny.
It was not funny.
Okay. Well...
Nothing about it is funny, and nothing about it is funny because
without knowing
context,
without knowing your context, without knowing your
and
truth,
without it being about you.
If it were about another woman, it's still not funny. You're weak as fuck for that. You're whack as fuck.
But the way he told the story,
it's not funny.
Okay, then
not to me. If it were about you and I didn't know you, it's still not funny. As a man, that shit is whack to me.
What's whack? What part of it is whack?
All of it. So you're in a relationship.
Okay.
Wait, was he in a relationship at the time?
No. He and Zena were on and off at that time. I later found out.
That's
and
true.
I was
they
in
did have an on
so
and off.
you're Damage is asking me what
part is not
is
funny?
whack to me.
Yeah, what's whack to you as a man?
What's whack to me is you're in at the time that he did the interview. He was engaged. I don't know if they were engaged or married, right?
I don't know.
But I do know that they were living together.
Okay,
they were living together. She'd had a C-section so that he and his son could share the same birthday. She's cheated on you. You've cheated on her. Sex, Love, and Pain, the first one, was all about Zena. I was during that break. While you were recording that album, I was one of however many, right? Fast forward all these years, your daughters are at a Googleable age where they've got cell phones. I'm sure they've got computers. Maybe they have iPads. I don't fucking know. But they have access. They don't have to have Instagram to have access.
Once it's on the internet, it's out there.
Once it's on the internet, it's there. Right? And so they hear their father talking about his pullout game and nutting on someone's stomach. All while your fiance at the time is where? Because if I'm Zena, I'm livid. Why the fuck are you out there talking about another bitch and her pussy and how good the sex was, and I'm right here? I'm confused. Why would you get out there and do that when our kids can see that? I'm confused. What's the fucking point? And it's 11 years later. You look crazy. You sound crazy. Because for what? Did Jason pay you an Uber bag? Because other than that, I can't even rationalize what would be egging. If Jason already heard the story, or not even the full story, but if Tank had gone into it slightly at the birthday party and it was funny, have your kiki. If Jason was the initiator, tell us what you told me. Tell him what you told me. I couldn't really hear. It was loud, blah, blah, blah. Nah, I don't want to get into all that. Wait for the cameras to go down and then tell your animated story, right? But to do that for what? I got a son that he can see shit. For what? Is this part of your get back?
There was a lot. There was a lot of context that was missing from it. Like, he tells the story like it just happened like a year or two ago, not
Correct.
11, 12 years ago. There was so much context that was
I
missing.
definitely didn't know it
and
was
then the
11
way
years.
that he
I had
told
no
the
idea.
story,
I just
there
recently
was a lot missing that we were not privy to. Plus, him coming up on the show, I had no idea that they'd already had that conversation about the interaction that he'd had with you. So he starts telling this story. I don't know you, and then just based on rumors, innuendo, comments on Instagram pages, and how reactive you can be to being provoked. There is this rumor, there was this conception that Moniece,
it was recent.
That it was recent, and that Moniece can be nuts sometimes.
I made one comment and I said at the time I was 19.
Right.
And somebody caught it, of course, and nobody posted it. But it did circulate, and people started to defend me.
I didn't
I
see
saw
it.
your mother responded to it.
And my mom responded to it. My dad had private conversations with him during the incident years ago. So it's like,
whenever somebody, if somebody says something that's a comment that I think is kind of disparaging against women, I'm always the one that stop. I'm always the one to stop that. So, I mean, I don't even know. I
don't want to say stop because I'm a grown man, so I say what I want to say. I mean, I think you definitely are the voice of reason.
Yeah.
I think in the context of that conversation, it was a wild story. I mean, at the end, I'm not going to retreat and say that wasn't funny at the time. I wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I understand how it wasn't funny to you, of
Yes.
course. And so, I mean, listen.
So being provided much more context, especially your point of view, I can completely understand why you were so upset. Without question, you know.
And at the time that I saw it, the interview didn't have like as many views as your other guests.
Right.
May have been
'Cause it was
it
new.
may have been a favorite, but even now when I go back and look at like numbers, it's not anywhere near,
not where it is now,
and
yeah.
I feel like that's because I didn't react.
Right.
Now, had I reacted and given it legs, it was like you talked about me for 47 minutes before you talked about what you were actually here to talk about, which was your new single or video or album or what the fuck ever, your new music. So
Are you cool with Jay Valentine, his manager?
no, so recently I was on my way to Atlanta and I saw them on the plane and I saw Jay and I was on a red eye and all the first class flights were sold out. So I was literally 2 rows behind first class. So as I'm getting on the plane, I was in the first boarding group or whatever. I spot Jay to my right in a window. And I said, okay, Jesus, I see you. This is a test. Because I didn't even want to turn my head to the left. Because I already knew what I was about to see.
You made me do it and look here.
And I was about to react because at one point I had put on Twitter, I'm going to slap his bitch every time I see him just because I can't fight a nigga.
Talking about who, Zena?
After the interview, I said I will slap his bitch every time I see her just because I can't fight a nigga and I want to get my point across. Stop fucking playing with me. So when I get on the plane and I see Jay, this is a couple months back.
Okay.
A couple months back from right now?
Yes. And I see Jay Valentine in the seat. And so I said, okay, Jesus, I'm going to pass the test. I looked to the left. He saw me and I saw him.
He Jay Valentine.
Tank.
Tank was on the flight.
Tank was on the flight. Jay Valentine was to the right. Tank and Zena. Tank was on the aisle. Zena was in the window. I look back to the right and I see the kids. But I almost missed the kids, meaning missed seeing them.
Yeah.
Because he and I locked eyes, Tank and I locked eyes, and Zena was doing something down here. And when she sat up, she saw me. Now I got to pass right by. I got to pass on by. And I'm quick. And there's nobody in the seat in front of him. I just kept on walking, and I think my jaw locked. And Ernest Dukes was actually on that same flight, and he was in front of me.
Wait, were you and Ernest together, or he just
He just so happened to be on that
Random.
flight. He
Okay.
just so happened to be on that
All
flight.
we needed
it was
was
for
me.
the trumpet awards. Everyone was going for the trumpet awards.
Right.
So I'm like, damn. So Ernest looks back and he's like, he's just, and you know, so he's
because everybody
there.
on the plane is thinking about the interview.
No. Just, I mean, Jay Valentine, you know, all of us, I'm sure.
You guys, I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we're like, so I'm really debating. You know, I had my beauty blender. Shout out to Rayanne. So she had sent me this cute little away case, and I had my makeup, you know, and I'm going, and I'm like, had my little carry-on, had a little portable battery, and I'm like proud of myself. My phones are all charged, and I look up, and there he is in the flesh. And then boom, there she is, and this is my opportunity to slap her and make good on my promise, right? So I'm like, man, I'm gonna keep going. By the time I sat down, I was only in row 10, 2 rows behind him. By the time I sat down, I had to ask the man, the flight attendant, I said, can you find somebody in a window in the back of the plane that wants to trade with me? True story. And she said yes. And as God would have it, there was somebody that wanted to be closer to the front. And I went to the back of the motherfucking plane. By the time, bitch, I got from the second row behind aisle 10 to aisle 37 or whatever the fuck. It was damn near in the booty of the plane. I was damn near about to lay into the laboratory. My head hurt. My back hurt. Because when I'm that like worked up and all I want to do is physically react and I can't, it manifests itself physically. I get nauseous, I get hot, I get a headache, my lower back gets tense because all I want to do in that moment is hit that red zone and not let up. You know? And that was real for me, and I was like, fuck.
So can I give you some context that you don't know? Jason doesn't even know it.
No.
So me and Jay Valentine ended up getting into a conversation about that particular interview, and you remember how he wasn't there in the studio. And you know what he said to me? He was like, if I was there, I would have never let Tank tell that story. I don't know what that means to you or for you.
Nothing, because it's not like he would have stopped him, you know, out of respect for me.
I don't know what his reason was.
Yeah,
lots of managers come in the show and publicists and say what they're not going to say.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
People know when they come to the show, you answer the questions.
No, I understand that, but it was a discussion he and I were having like way after the fact, and it was just a random part of our conversation. But he literally said, he was like, if I had been there that day, I would never.
He wouldn't have let him tell it just because it didn't make him look good. That's why, not out of respect for me as a woman, but out of concern for your talent and being a womanizer. It's fine to sell sex, but it's another thing to know that you were, you know, actually emotionally taking advantage of a teenager.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what your.
And when you break it down like that, those are facts.
Yeah.
I live in a space now, like I told Jason, I can't deal with the semantics, the who, the what, the when, the why, the where, the how we got here. We're
Right.
here. Did you say it? Didn't you say it?
Melissa, any more
Yes,
follow-up
no.
questions?
I'm still kind of stuck on stupid right now because.
Okay, so but this is what I will say.
This has been a lot to unpack.
I'm gonna take all of what you just said and wrap it in this. Yeah. You know, and I'm on the outside looking in, and I don't care what our history is. I can always give credit where credit is due. You have grown a lot.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I will say that I've said this to you privately, and I'll say this publicly. I think right now you're in a place where, in real life, you've grown, and in real life, everybody is expecting you to be angry because of what you're going through.
My public record of explosive reactivity.
I will say, listen, but not even that. I mean, like, I feel like, you know, in some respect, there's some justification for feeling betrayed. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I don't have kids. Thank God I don't have kids.
Yeah.
Because I could tell you, if a motherfucker was to make my kid feel some way about me, whether they help make the kid or just associate with the other person that made the kid, scorched earth is the way you describe my behavior.
Yes.
I would burn their world down. And, you know, I just feel like people, especially in Hollywood, they feel like they get passes doing reckless shit. You don't get a pass doing reckless shit. You know, I do feel, you know, like, you know, my mother, you know, she's deceased now, and I'm writing my book, and as I'm going through the chapters of what she's gone through, there's this thing I always say on the show that I want to make sure that everybody knows. When people are struggling with their parents, my mother used to always say in her addiction, I'm doing the best that I could. And I thought it was a cop-out, and I had a lot of resentment until years later when I realized she's saying, I can't handle life right now. I can't handle my addiction. I can't handle my psychological stuff. I can't handle it. And the kids can't really process it. But one thing I will say is, adults know, and they know when they're taking advantage of somebody at their lowest. So I will say, one thing I've never done is I've never shamed you for being a mom, because I feel like you know, you did the best that you could when you were raising your child. Your child is an amazing kid. I think on the outside, we all perceived Fizz to be a great father. But I will say to Fizz, you know, if you hear this, you have a responsibility to make sure that April respects you. Period. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be her friend. You ain't got to go to tea together. But as long as your kid is in the middle, and your kid is starting to look at everybody and build this perception that he needs to lie to you or deceive you, that shit's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've exercised a lot of restraint and patience and maturity in. You know.
For sure. I've been looking at it like, you ain't mad.
No, I'm not. And you know, again, like it's really important. It doesn't help, and it's really important for me to stress this. Like I have been villainized. Part of that is my own lack of self-control when I find myself in emotionally uncomfortable situations, right? Or in situations where I feel like I should be vindicating myself. And I was going to take you to church, you know, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. And the more I tap into my spirituality and reconnect, I literally start to feel bad. And my dad brought me back down to earth the other day after that scene, and he said, "You're looking at this the wrong way." Just like you were a victim of your circumstances, because, and he said, and I only refer to you as a victim because you were a child. You didn't ask to be born into the scenario into which you were born into. Do you know everything about April and her upbringing? I said, no. Why would it even fucking matter? I don't care. And he said, it matters a lot. We know about Drew's upbringing. His mother gave him away to someone when he was between the ages of 8 and 13. And we've all heard the allegations. We don't know those to be true. We don't know them to be false.
You're talking about the molest allegations.
Right. And we've loved him through whatever, however, right? Now, we don't know April. So you've basically, this is my dad to me. You've basically called her a whore, this, that, and the other. What makes her a whore? Do you know she's a whore?
We said people said she sold her pussy.
And that was what he was referring to. And he was like, you know, no, Jason's right. That's what my dad was referring to. To bring it all home, my dad said at the end of the day, he's potentially a victim of whatever these allegations are. She was a victim of whatever she came up in, right? Because, and not now as adults, he was speaking solely about when we're developing and when we're younger, when we don't know any better and when we don't have the right guidance and protection. Your son is a victim. Her children are victims to irresponsible parenting, right? That has long-term effects, long-lasting effects. Now, Mega and Ame are not my grandchildren, but Cameron is my grandson and you are my daughter and you were raised a certain way. This is disheartening to me and this is disappointing to me on so many levels, but you and Cameron are my responsibility. And I can tell that you're hurt, rightfully so, by so many things that you deserve answers to, you know, in terms of the way that things have transpired. And so the way that I was raised, when you offer and issue a sincere apology, you have a clean slate.
Why do you seem to be getting emotional right now?
Because we can start over, right? God gives us all a new day. You've had your situation, and I'm sure that's giving you a new perspective on life, right?
Very much so.
And you've been through things, right, that have altered your perception. Same with you, same with me. I get emotional because I feel like I've wasted a lot of time being angry. And so this transition is me saying, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to carry this hurt, right? But I look at this child, and the truth is no one wanted me to happen. And I did. So I feel an uber responsibility to get my shit together. You know, because I know that eventually we all grow up and we see our parents for who they are.
For sure.
And when my son gets older, I don't want to just say I tried, you know. Is he going to look at me and be like, I know? Is he going to know that without a shadow of a doubt, I did everything I could to foster healthy communication? But what his dad doesn't seem to realize is we can't get there unless there's honesty. We can't get there unless you can acknowledge my hurt. You have dragged me through the mud. Yeah, you offered me a bullshit apology on camera. But at the end of the day, we were able to get to a decent place as co-parents because I let a lot of shit go. I don't want to let it go anymore. Right? It's weird because I don't want to hold on to it. I don't want to let it go. You have got to acknowledge. You have to, because I was raised that way. And all you have to do is issue me a sincere apology. That's it. That's all. And we can start over. We don't have to be friends. Me and April don't have to be friends. I'm not speaking on her situation with her baby daddy. And we were cool when you guys were best friends, but now you're in a relationship, and so it's shut me out. It's very confusing. So if I, very intelligent at 32, am confused, how does my 9-year-old feel? And what does that look like in his behavior, in his ability to perform in school, in sports? What does that look like in the nature and the dynamic of my relationship to him? I have to completely adjust. I can't go with the mood. And my dad said something very interesting to me. He said, you know, when you were younger, you were, you know, up and down and up and down. And even now, he said, but with Cameron, we all have a second chance. And what I recognize is that Cameron is an empath, and so are you. And so we both adopt whatever the feeling in the room is at that time, but we can also shift. I can walk in the room and depending on how I feel, I can shift everyone's energy and not mean to, not know it. That's a very powerful thing. That's a very powerful ability.
Let me say something. So, first of all, I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, it's very personal. One thing I will say in writing my book and looking back over my life, and you know, people will eventually see my story and read my book. I did hold a lot of animosity against my mom. I mean, there's so many stories, like we can go, damn, maybe we should talk offline, but I will say the one lesson in it all, because I just recently was talking to my siblings about it, and I was just saying, you know, my dad wasn't there, blah, blah. You know, a lot of what I've been through has actually made me a strong, successful, driven person that can survive and just continue to leap above and beyond. Anytime someone puts something in front of me, I'm like, I've been at my lowest. I think the thing I would say to you that I never got to say to my mom is that you can't control the life that you got, right? So like all that was handed to you before, the baby daddy, the bullshit they're going through now, it's not let it go. Let that make you stronger. Yeah. Because what I've learned is that, you know, at the end of the day, it's the guilt that we put on ourselves that fucks us up. Right. You gotta let that shit go, because if your peace is dependent on Fizz waking up and becoming,
it's not, and that's my point. Like, I'm my peace. My pastor said something very interesting. Peace is not a person. Peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is not the perfect life. Peace is the ability to stand amidst the chaos and say, the devil's not welcome, and nor can he dwell where the Lord resides. So if I choose, I have to choose. In layman terms, I have to choose for me. That you can't disrupt my peace. You can't disrupt my peace. April can't. You can't. My baby, I choose peace. And sometimes to really live that, I have to really let go. Like, I have to pick and choose my battles very carefully, right? Because I know what I have the propensity to be this or be that, or react, or react like this, or react like that. I have to make a conscious decision that peace is the path that I am on. And it doesn't mean that I won't fall short.
Yeah. I mean, it's a destination you have to travel alone. And at the end of the day, I mean, I remember my mom being so proud of me, but me having so much animosity, I couldn't even acknowledge or receive it or appreciate it. Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day, we were sitting in my house, Lee, he says, do you miss your mom? And I thought about it. I don't miss her in the sense because she's passed on. I'm not happy that she's gone, but I don't miss her because when she died, I gave her peace and she gave me peace, and I was at peace with it all. Closure. But if I had to look back on it and say anything, like, I wish I would have done that a lot earlier. And I will say, looking, you know, for people that don't get to see you up close and be with you, I mean, you've grown a lot. I mean, the things that used to set you all the way off or whatever, like, you really are focused on being peaceful. So, I mean, I appreciate you sharing your story here. You know, on behalf of the show, Hollywood Unlocked, me personally, I apologize for all of the bad blood we've had. And I don't want to hear people in the comment, oh, this is fake. No, this is called growth.
Yeah.
Right.
The minute we ran into each other, I knew I owed her an answer, a conversation. I knew I could look at her until she owed me a conversation. We got here. It took a little longer because of circumstances, but those circumstances are out the way. And I just, I appreciate everything that you're doing to, move yourself forward personally. I'm going to ask you one thing on the way out.
Before you ask her, I just want to acknowledge, my car accident provided me with what I didn't look at as an opportunity for personal growth. It was very, very painful. It's in order to shed that skin, that is a very painful process. Yeah. And not knowing you, just being an outsider looking, just looking from the outside looking in type thing, the growth that you are reflecting is admirable. It really is. It really is. And it's hard to do that in a city like LA. It's hard to do that doing what you do professionally. It's hard to do that with somebody who might not be where you are mentally.
And you have an audience judging the whole process.
Exactly. So I really have to tip my hat to you because I am all for people taking accountability for their actions. I'm all for rewarding people with the knowledge that you're doing a good thing by growing, emotionally, spiritually, mentally.
I appreciate it.
I think it's a wonderful thing. So congratulations to you.
So now on the music, you're working on music. You come from a music background, and K. Michelle was recently here. Any last words for K. Michelle or that conversation? Or do you want to respond to that at all?
I wish K. Michelle literally the very best. I admire what she's been able to do in this business because she was me. All the odds stacked against her. Everybody said she wouldn't, she couldn't, she wasn't good enough. I guess my feelings were a little bit hurt because of all people, for you to be upset because you feel like I lied to you about my grandfather. It's crazy. Even if I had, which I hadn't. What the hell, And so I know a very soft side of Kay, a very caring side of Kay. She's a beautiful person. I don't feel like anybody has the right. I don't care how many times I discuss it, talk about it. You don't have the right to talk about my family business, especially on this platform when you and I have had so many differences and we hadn't had this conversation yet. Who knows? That might have set me off. Like the old me would have called you and been like, "How fucking dare you? You knew that she was going to do that." And
she texted me and she said, "So when's my interview?"
Right.
I mean, you really have grown.
Yeah. So I'm not mad at Kay. My feelings are hurt. And then to say that I'm not even worthy of carrying your bags. Like I don't care what anyone says. I sing my face off.
You do.
Off.
Yeah, you do.
And sometimes I fuck up, but who doesn't? Right? They just don't show you. Sometimes they sound like the Shade Room posted me playing around because people were talking shit about me. So I sang all kind of crazies. Like, here, take that. I did not think that the Shade Room, who has posted me in my living room sounding like a dream, a little goddess with my reverb and whatnot, I didn't think in a million years that they would post that. And as a means to shame me, but I didn't even comment. I don't give a fuck. I'm worthy of holding your bag, singing your backgrounds, and participating in a duet. Okay? Just because you don't want me to, it doesn't diminish my talent. And as someone who has been through that, why would you do that to your so-called friend, even if you are mad at them? I've done nothing to her. I would never speak ill of her. Don't talk about, and again, that subject of my grandpa, very sensitive. My mother did not. My mom was like, please, that's the one thing. Because when I posted about it on social media, my mom called me like, take that down.
You posted about Kay's interview?
No, about my grandfather.
Okay.
And my mom was like, your grandfather.
It was your mother's father?
Yes, would not appreciate that. Take that down. And so it's been an emotional roller coaster for the family in totality. Because even the way that it started on Christmas Eve. We didn't know where my grandpa was for like weeks. And so for you to then take that and be like, I lied. No, I just gave limited information.
So what's next for you musically? What are you working on?
Well, April's no longer going on tour with me, so I'm moving forward. I've hired John Silver as my creative director. I've booked a few shows, a few venues, starting at the Roxy in August, and then I'm going to Revel in Atlanta and White Oak in Houston. I just want to test them out. I financed the whole thing. Candace Boyd is joining me. People will know her from
Oh, I love
before.
her.
Yeah. Jake and Papa. Possibly Bridget Kelly. She's in a boot right now. I would like to see some of the other girls from the show join me. Maybe Tiara, Lyrica. I gotta like talk to them. But that, and then this second album is almost done. I don't have a title, but I'm excited actually for these 2 new singles that I did with Brittany B. Ill, where I talk about taking my baby daddy's bitches and pretty much just being, ill in every sense of the
Wait,
word.
is the song called Ill?
Ill.
Ill.
ILL, yeah.
So April inspired that?
No, my baby daddy did.
Oh,
I
your baby
inspired
daddy.
her diss record, so I'm happy that I was able to put a few coins in her pocket, and boost her YouTube views. And then the other one is Talk to Me Nice. So the tour, the album, and yeah. Oh, I'm getting new titties in a few days.
Well, you're gonna get them bigger?
Smaller.
Okay.
Because
Oh, yeah, you
everybody
did say
was
you were
talking
going to.
bad about me because the right one keeps lifting. Turns out I keep capsulating, so we're going smaller with a lift.
Okay, well, listen, this has been refreshing.
Right,
And
yeah,
anytime you want to come back, let
Take
us know.
that, Tank.
All right, Tank, you're in a titty war. Okay. On that note, we're out of here. Peace.
Bye, everybody.